Hi, my name is Dan, and I have been lucky enough to be building plastic models of mostly airplanes since I was little, for over 40 years. And it's a really great hobby to be involved with. It's not solitary like people pretend it is. It's actually very gregarious. You get a bunch of people together and you build things and talk. It's a lot of fun. My wife and I, in the evening, she sits on one side and knits. I sit over on the other side and I build my airplanes, and we have a great time together. It's historical. You get to look at it, whether you're building a train or a person or a ship or an airplane or a tank or a car. You can learn all kinds of stuff about the history of during that moment of the Indy 500 in the 50s or the 60s. What was it like? What were the cars like? You can learn about the people who drove these cars or flew these airplanes. You learn about all the little parts that went to make them. You learn some engineering along the way. I'm no engineer, believe me, but you do pick up things and you learn things like dihedral and horsepower and what a flying boat needs and what kind of armament would be on these, or how fast this particular train went, or whatever. And it's a wonderful artistic outlet. It's so much fun to create something. Even with plastic models, even though most of it's formed for you, you still have to take a lot of care in putting them together. You paint them. There's some real artists out there that do just beautiful work. There's lots of web pages or YouTube videos, channels that have those folks, and you really should look at them because they're just awe-inspiring. So this is more typical of what you can build. This is called a submarine CMU. It's a resin model, but it's close to plastic. It's not quite done yet, but it's one I'm working on now. Beautiful piece of work. And like most people, there's no way a paper model of any kind can compete with this. I heard about paper models and I thought, well, they can't be any good. I mean, it's paper. You can never compete with something like this. It's beautifully formed and put together and engineered. No way. So, here, for instance, is a perfect example of a scale paper model. In this case, a Spitfire. It's got the nice elliptical wings. It's got that beautiful spinner on there. It's a late mark Spitfire, and it's got a teardrop canopy. Notice it's got very scale-like landing gear down there, and this is state of the art in paper models, and this is what most people consider to be a typical paper model and what you can actually expect. But that turns out to be a complete misnomer. Okay? Can you compete with that resin model? Sure you can. Here's a very simple model that I have this other video on. It's a really neat little model and it looks very nice. It's got, when you build with paper, there's little things you have to worry about, but oh my gosh, you can get so many neat airplanes and tanks and all kinds of stuff you want to do, buildings. So, here's an example of a World War I era plane that's similar to this guy in resin and similar in scale. So there's an idea. You can also build them much bigger and more solid. This is one I just finished recently. It's called a PZL 7A, I think it's called. But this is from a fellow. I downloaded his model from on the internet. It turns into just a beautiful airplane, and with some weathering and stuff, you'd be hard pressed to tell this is made out of paper unless you really took a close look. So this is neat. There is no plastic manufacturer in 1/32nd scale of this airplane. And here you can build it yourself out of paper, and it's quite detailed and beautiful. I mean, the engine's in there, you got exhausts, you got a great cockpit, although you can't really see it in this picture, but beautiful, beautiful model. And then you can even build tiny, tiny scales. This is a little itty bitty flying boat that I've built that is I think 250th scale. It goes on a ship, the Radetzky, which I'm trying to build out of paper. But this is a little paper model that comes printed, and you fold it together and get this thing all moving. And this is an extremely neat little model when you consider how big, how small that is. Okay, so I guess the point is paper models are different, absolutely, than plastic or resin models. And people like one more than the other, maybe. But I encourage you, if you're a plastic model, to give these things a try because they're a lot of fun. Different techniques. It's more a cross between boss and tissue building because you have to build ribs and you build skins and you form them. So it is different than plastics and resin, but wow, you learn so much and they come out looking really, really nice. And mine are, I just started, so these aren't terribly good. You should see some of the stuff. Search for things on the internet and you'll find them. But now, talk a little bit about where you find these and how you get them.